Hey, welcome to the Drip and Stone podcast, a podcast where two friends raise a glass and we have a conversation. I'm Nick.
I'm Kyle.
Kyle, I think we should invite all of our friends to have a pour of something great along with us.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Whatever it is that you have handy.
It's only going to make the episode better.
You know what else would make the episode better?
What's that?
If you support the podcast by going and rating the podcast wherever you get great podcasts like this podcast. I think I said the word podcast a lot of times.
I didn't even know we were doing a podcast.
Yeah. What do you think we've been doing for the last 5 years?
Thought it was just like for us.
What are these mics for? I mean, it is for us, but like, what do you think these mics are for?
Making me like a time capsule kind of a thing, maybe.
Well, but like, like when we go out in public and people stop us and ask us for pictures,
right?
And ask us to sign their babies and stuff.
Yeah.
It's because of this.
Oh,
I've been putting this on the internet the whole time. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Okay. Hence the reason why I ask people to support the podcast by telling someone about the podcast.
I just thought you were like saying like, just support a podcast.
No, support this one. I mean, podcast. Support podcasts in general, but
right.
Like add this one to it.
Cool.
And financially support Drip and Stone by visiting our Patreon page.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Drip and Stone.
Indeed.
Like, where do you think all this money has been coming from?
I don't know. Just,
I mean, it's definitely not.
Thankful.
It's definitely not my feet pics. Like those have not taken off.
Your only feet page.
Right. So it's coming from somewhere.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Well, now that we've invited everyone
to your only feet page.
Now that we've invited everyone to have a pour of something delicious and support the podcast that you didn't know we've been making for the last 5 years, would you also like to drink something delicious?
Yeah.
Actually, we don't know if it's delicious because this is a brand new bottle.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is a product that we've had a version of, but we've not had this one.
Okay.
This comes from our friends at the Brook-Lottie Distillery.
Oh.
They're on the right across the bay from the Bowmore Distillery.
There you go.
Yeah, on the Lockendall. Lockendall, yeah.
There you go. You're teasing. So is it a scotch?
It is sort of not. Nope, it's not a scotch at all.
Oh,
but it's Scotch-esque. This is the Botanist.
Oh, we've had that. That's a gin.
Yeah, that's an Islay gin.
Yeah, it is.
But this is a different version of that. This is the Botanist Islay Cask Rested Gin.
Oh, yeah. It's got some color to it.
It actually like
darker than some scotches.
Honestly, it really is. It comes in at 46% ABV. And I've been searching for this for the last 6 months or so.
Well, for sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've had this or a version of this
at Brook-Lottie.
At Brook-Lottie, yep. And you asked them at the time, when is this coming stateside?
Yeah, and they basically said at some point in the future.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Right.
And they asked where I was, and the person kind of leading the tasting and leading their gift shop pulled out this massive binder just from under the desk or under the counter and sets it on the counter, and she's like, "Where do you live?" And the U.S. She's like, yeah, but where? And she's flipping through this binder and finds Florida, and she's like, "You'll get it sometime early 2025." I was like,
cool.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, and I was impressed by the fact that this wasn't on a computer. She literally got just a 3-inch 3-ring binder.
Right.
And
all handwritten notes.
Yeah, I think it was legit. And you'll get it sometime early next year. So I've been waiting for it.
Wow.
And I've been looking for it. I found the cask strength Botanist.
Yep.
And actually I saw that probably late December. So I was like, okay, if that's here, then the Islay Rested Gin is probably soon to follow. Right. And I was right, because I went to a big box store and I found this one.
Sweet.
But I'm interested. I'm gonna read you some bottle words. Okay. The Botanist Cask Rested Gin embodies Brook-Lottie Distillery's whiskey-making heritage and botanical expertise. Our Islay Dry Gin has been matured for a minimum of 6 months in a selection of fine casks. The fragrant notes of 22 hand-forged botanicals combined with the spices of wood create a vibrant and complex cuvee that redefines what gin can be.
Cuvee, you say?
Cuvee, say I. Yeah. What's interesting, I was just going back through pictures before we started recording, because again, we're recording a podcast, and the one that I had at Brook-Lottie was aged for 3 years in an Islay cask. This is aged for 6 months.
Interesting.
But comparing the photo to this, they're almost the same color.
Right. Maybe that extra age just didn't impact it enough for them to feel like it was necessary.
Yeah.
They just wanted to get more of it out.
Which also tells me that somewhere on Brook-Lottie's property, there's gin resting in some Islay casks that they're going to hold on for a minute.
Right.
You might at some point get a 12-year
aged
aged
gin.
Islay gin. Yeah.
I mean, is that a thing that you can think of any gin that like is aged gin ever a thing?
No, and well, not that I know of, and that's what I think is so interesting about this is that the whole purpose of a gin is that there really isn't an age, and so
Right.
like a lot of distilleries will
3 days.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, it
Something like
takes
that?
something like that. The process of making a gin is very quick compared to a whiskey, obviously, because you don't have to rest it, you don't have to age it, you don't nothing. You just chuck it into a glass bottle and you're good to go.
Right.
And I think that that's also for like distillery production and sales wise, it makes sense to do some sort of spirit in that way.
Right.
Neutral grain spirit.
Right. Get some cash flow going.
Exactly. And from what I understand, like gin is a bit easier to make as well. I think it's a little more forgiving. I don't know if it has to do with like the phenols in terms of like, the run of the spirits. Is it just a longer run? I don't know all of that kind of stuff, but I've heard from several different distilleries that it tends to be just a little more or a little less labor intensive. And I don't know if it's just because of the aging process.
Right.
But
makes sense.
You know what makes more sense?
What's that?
Cracking into this bottle.
Oh, that makes a lot of
Okay.
sense for sure. Nice.
Thank you.
Very ASMR.
I was scared. Like I didn't want it to jump out and bite me.
That's satisfying. And the second pour, just not as satisfying.
No, it's the first one. That's
you get it once. That's all you get. Enjoy it. Take it all in.
all right. There we go. In the glass.
Doesn't look like gin.
It does not. It really looks like a scotch.
Yeah, you would think that's a nice Chardonnay colored scotch.
Okay, so when they say Islay cask, and it is Bruichladdich, they could technically be using the same cask that they're going to use for the classic Lottie or any of the Islay barley series. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be peated. But when you hear Islay cask, you assume. You're
right.
When I poured it, I can smell some of the gin notes, but I didn't smell a lot of peat. I don't know if you already took a slight whiff.
Nosed it yet. It looks like it's got some good viscosity.
It does.
Some slow legs.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks oily.
On the nose?
Kind of hard to to notice any kind of a Islay influence.
Yeah, it reminds me of the classic Botanist. I mean, it smells like gin.
Yeah.
Definitely
I would
grain
say
forward.
maybe not quite as sweet.
Yes.
The regular Botanist, I always say it smells like that ribbon candy. That really sweet ribbon candy.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Almost cotton candy, but not like it's just a subtle difference.
That's exactly what it smells like.
Like to me, this is nosing way more kind of like herbally and botanically.
Yeah, it has a bit of another depth of note there, and I'm assuming it's attributed to the barrel itself.
Yeah, like there's like a really deep nosing of it, and I get like a seagrass, just like a dried grass note.
Yeah, seagrass is not far off.
Yeah, and perhaps even a touch salty.
I kind of expected it though, as we said, to have a bit of the smoke on it, and it doesn't.
Nah, not on the nose.
Now that I've sat with it for a second, there is a bit of a medicinal nature there. Just a bit of a note, and it could be obviously the botanicals,
Right.
and so you get a lot of botanicals, and then maybe adding this rested nature into it.
I'm getting kind of like a lemon drop.
Oh, like one of those old fashioned lemon drops.
Yeah, like a lemon head.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
All right, shall we?
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, that's delightful.
that is delightful. Oh. Hang on a second, Kyle.
Attacking your gullet.
Yeah, I'm good. But there's a bit of a spicy note there. Like it. Ooh.
Yeah, for sure. Right at the end, man. Like a bit of a peppery kind of a thing. Yeah, and it just bites on your tongue.
It is definitely adding some depth to the Botanist as a whole, because I think you're right. Like, rarely do I sip a gin neat. Obviously, we're having it neat. I do want to throw this in a gin and tonic, though, for a second. See how that changes things. But I think the Botanist has a lot of that sweetness on the palate normally as well, which is what I like about the Botanist. But here, it's reshaping that a bit, and it's way more woody. It's like that wood is definitely pronounced.
Yeah, there's like that tanniny kind of a thing, that just kind of dull, bitter note that's on the back end of it now that generally you don't get in a gin. But now it's got that influence on it, and it's giving it that barrel note.
It reads more to me like almost a cordial, or like what was the Icelandic thing? Oh, the Birker. Was it the Birker?
Oh yeah, that had that twig in it.
That twig in it. Like it
Yeah,
feels
legit.
It feels like that.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Because it's not a standard gin,
Right.
But there's something else there.
Yeah, that's spot on. It does have it's like a little stick influence, little tree branch.
little wood note. Yeah. That's quite nice, though.
Agreed. It adds just like a little bit more complexity to it. Like I don't think it's as punchy sweet as the normal Botanist.
Right.
That's kind of like calmed down a bit, and I think this is like a bit more of a more complex pour. I like it. It's delightful.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for me, that's what I find interesting about the world of gin too, is that like you have your kind of standard gins. We talked about this in our gin episode. You have the standard gin, and then you have, I think, what most people call like new world or new age gin, I guess. And I think this fits in there, where like you have the standard Botanist, which is a gin, which has its own profile, but like now let's tweak it. Let's add some things. Let's play around with it.
Yeah, I feel like if you're opposed to tonic, but you like gin, I think you could go this route with just club soda and remove the tonic, because I feel like it's kind of giving you that little bit more complexity that the tonic would give you generally anyway.
Okay.
But it's not as strong.
Sure.
Change. I think that'd be like a pretty interesting substitution.
And I think if you're not a big gin fan, but you like whiskey, this is kind of a happy medium.
Yeah, this is going to point you in that direction.
Yeah, because like it is very clearly gin, but that's coming from someone who I like gin and I like those notes, but it's got enough of the whiskey influence in terms of the cask where it feels very whiskey-esque.
Yeah, you're leaning into a Long Island iced tea here, little LIT.
Yeah. What's interesting though is, again, knowing that it is the Botanist, knowing that it is Bruichladdich,
yep,
and knowing that it says Islay cask rested, and then they have an Islay cask aged, I expected some smoke.
Yeah, it must just be classic Lottie barrels.
It must be.
You know?
And to be fair, it doesn't say anything about peat. It doesn't say anything about smoke. It says nothing about that. And I don't know. I would like a little bit of that influence, I think.
Throw you a drop of Port Charlotte in there.
Yeah.
See what it does.
Well, listen, if we're going to do it, I say we just go straight for the Octomore.
There you go. Just one drop will do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you're there.
Do you want to try that? Do you want to try with just some soda water?
Oh, I don't care.
Or do you want to put it in a G&T?
Oh, you can do a G&T. Do a G&T.
Let's do a G&T. Let's T and G it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All G's, no T's. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what we got here. All right, give me a second. I'll be right back.
All right.
Glass of ice has been acquired.
Little G, little T.
I don't know how you make your G&T, but I'm going to take my G, pour it in my glass over my ice, crack open my tea.
A high quality tea. Damn. Crowd went wild. Sound like an AI Coca-Cola commercial.
But better because it's real. All right. G&T acquired.
G&T.
Shall we?
We shall.
Doesn't smell like anything, so I'm just going to
Smells like ice.
Huh. I don't know about that.
Much stronger evidence of the bitter.
Yeah. I don't hate it. Now that I've sipped twice.
Yep.
But initially, the bitter comes out, and the botanically of the wood, or tanniny, that's what you said earlier. The tannic nature of the wood comes out, which I think is definitely some of that bitter perspective. And it's like, it leans, again, really medicinal here.
Yeah. And that tonic bitter, I think, matched with this now new wood bitter, becomes very dominant.
It's a little...
Squeeze a lime on it might do the thing.
Yeah, and I don't have a lime.
Yeah. that might neutralize it.
That might does it, but I want to taste the Islay cask gin, and I think we had enough in there. Like we had a good ounce and a half, maybe even 2 ounces in there.
Right.
But it does some funky things with the tonic there.
Right.
That does not make it better.
Yeah,
it's okay. It does not make it better though.
Mm-mm.
That to me is interesting because I would then rather sip the Islay cask rested gin than have it in a gin and tonic.
Yeah. I still go back. I think it might be interesting with just seltzer. I think the flavors in that gin specifically would be enough to come through and it still be an interesting cocktail.
Yeah. So you don't have the extra
bitter,
right? With the tonic.
Yeah.
That's not. No, you're probably right.
What is tonic?
It is a soda water basically that is sweetened with a derivative from the quinine tree.
That's what I was gonna say. It's quinine.
Quinated.
Then quinated. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's the quinine tree, or at least that's the quinine is the chemical. Maybe it's like
It's just that quinine thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Who got a hold of quinine and they were like, that's some good shit. I enjoy that.
Just
I don't get it.
Let's eat some bark.
Damn.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like you could say that about everything. Who looked at that mushrooms like, let me try that.
I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah, and then like Tuk Tuk dies, and they're like, don't eat that one.
Yeah, that's all of it, man. And it's interesting too, like the stuff that like had to be prepared in a way for it to become good. It's like how did you have it just natural?
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, but I want to fuck around with it. See if I can get it to be good.
Sure.
Like you just ate a raw garlic or something. You're just like, man, that's awful.
What if I roast it though?
But yeah, when I soften it up,
Yeah.
it gets better.
Well, it's like, people like decide to start drinking coffee. Like I see all these goats like being hyper, and they're like, huh,
They like
I'm gonna
them
try
beans.
that too. And you just eat a bean. You're like, that's not great, but like, let me crush it up and put it over water. Wow.
It still tastes bad, but for some reason I'm addicted to it.
Right. It smells great.
Yeah, it's got a nice aroma.
Yeah, every day, and now I just need it every day.
And now it's just my favorite thing.
Sure. Yeah, I'm gonna say definitely on its own.
Better solo.
Yeah, which I can't say is true of most gins.
Strong quinine. Intense quinine.
Yeah, at least we're cured of malaria right now. Like, at the very least, like we don't have a whole lot else, but at the very least, we're cured of malaria.
Why do you think that is? As you get older,
You're more prone to malaria.
You're more prone to bitter. The bitter thing, is more.
I think it's because it's both. It's bitters and sweets. Like your palate just changes. I think your senses just become more dull. And so like its stronger flavors become more interesting to you. And I think, I don't know the science here. I think in some ways it's like we've had all the stuff. So like now you're looking for things that are challenging your palate. So then like it's the bitter that you're drawn to, or it's the sweet, or it's the
But see, like I would argue
umami.
like that sweet you're always in love with growing up. As soon as you're introduced to ice cream, you're like, that's all I want.
Right.
But bitter, you're so opposed to it. But then at some point in time, as you get older, bitter becomes more of an interesting quality.
Yeah.
And it's something that you more
That might be an American thing too, because think about like the standard American fare. Like there's not a whole lot of stuff that's bitter, but like you think of Italian food, there's like a ton of types of Italian food that are just inherently bitter. I'm thinking like artichoke. Like artichoke is bitter and can be sour. I'm thinking of like radicchio. I'm thinking of like arugula. I'm thinking of these kind of like a lot of greens and herbs can be bitter, or like candies too. Like a lot of other places favor less sweet and more interesting on the bitter note of like candies than Americans do.
Yeah, but I just feel like it's still more of a general, I think, like I think it is kind of like exaggerated in American culture, but like I just think the concept of sweet, like if you could take a kid anywhere in the world and like offer, would you like some candy versus would you like this dark chocolate?
They're going to go candy.
They're usually going to go like in that candy route,
Sure.
But at some point in time, you open yourself up to the bitter and that becomes a just as interesting quality.
Well, that's what all the bitter people hope. Like open yourself to the bitter.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Trying to
come to the
convert you
dark side.
The bitter side.
Exactly, yeah.
Like growing up, my parents always drank unsweetened tea.
Wow.
But then they would sweeten it.
What?
They would sweeten it with Sweet and Low. They would brew unsweetened tea, but then they would use Sweet and Low. I think it was like, just a product of the time of like, oh yeah, no, this is better for you than sugar.
Oh, sure.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
They wanted sweet tea.
Right.
But they didn't want the sugar.
Right. I got
So they're
you.
using some sort of a substitute. So when I started
using this cancer powder, here you go.
yeah, you're gonna enjoy this. But when I started working in a restaurant and like people would just order unsweetened tea, I was like, sure, I'll bring some sweetener on the side. And they were like, well, no, we don't need it. I'm like, ew, you're gonna eat that nasty unsweet tea? Fair enough.
Yeah,
but it's like, I love black coffee.
Right.
I love I actually can drink unsweet tea now
Yeah,
and enjoy it with
same.
a meal. And like that's usually like an aspect of my whiskey that I like for it to have is a bitter note. And to make it more interesting, more depth. Just weird that your palate, it seems like it has to mature to it.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think like me as a person, generally, I am, well documented on the podcast that we put out every week.
Just thought it was for us. That's so weird.
It's okay. I understand that. What I love about the statement that you made is that It's very clearly genuinely you, because you didn't know that this was going out to millions of people.
Right.
But it is going out to millions of people. And there are millions of people that listen.
And appreciate it.
So again, every time some random person asks you to sign their baby,
right,
that's why.
Yep.
Generally, I'm not, I don't gravitate towards sweet things. And usually I'm like, oh, that's too sweet. So I think you're right. I think it's either like as we get older, we then appreciate the bitter. And I think we've talked about this in a previous episode, like the bitter or engaging in the bitter also allows you to appreciate the sweet as well.
Yeah.
So I think that especially in a drink like this and in anything we do, like that bitter note, when it is prominent and when it is complementary, that makes the sweet that much better.
Right. Bitter makes it better. Yeah. I mean, I just think it's something like, all right, say for you, have you noticed anything specific changing in your tastes since adolescence?
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah. I was never someone who really liked chocolate. Again, just me and sweets. Like, I don't know if it was always being scared of sugar or whatever, but like, I never crave something sweet. It's really rare. And normally when I have something sweet, like if you give me a piece of cake, I'm probably going to eat the whole cake.
Wow.
You give me a piece, I'm going to eat the whole cake. No, you give me a piece of cake, I'm probably going to eat the whole piece, but like I'm actually good after about 2 bites. Like, cool.
Like,
I'm fine.
Like not wanting to be rude and be wasteful.
Yeah.
I'll eat the whole
think there's
thing.
some of that.
I'll just
It's also
eat the
like,
whole cake.
I think there's some of that, but there's also like I'm supposed to really like this thing. But like, okay, like a cake pop, I'm totally good. Like that's the right amount of cake for me.
Right.
Yeah. Like give me 1-2 bites max.
One
I'm
insanely sweet bite of cake so that I don't want anything sweet for a month.
So good.
Yeah.
No, but for me, I think I used to not really like chocolate. And now, like, I love a good dark chocolate. It doesn't have to be like crazy bitter or anything, but like just a high quality, good chocolate. Like, don't give me that Hershey's waxy BS. Like, give me some good, like maybe Lindt, which is better. It's not the best chocolate, but give me some Lindt.
Right.
Give me some Godiva. Give me some like good, high quality, like 60% cocoa and above chocolate. Hell yeah.
Ghirardelli.
Oh yeah. Give me that. Yeah. Like I don't crave like a German chocolate cake or anything like that, but I would be more apt to order that now over like, birthday cake, just straight up birthday cake. I would rather the dark chocolate cake or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a recent change for me. What about for you?
I mean, I know like things like that I don't generally like, but if I get it in really good quality, I can appreciate it.
Okay.
Like specifically, I think of olives.
Ooh.
I don't usually like olives in any way, but if I get like
like
really
Libby black canned olives for you,
no, I hate that stuff. Or like even like just like the olives with the red thing in them in a martini, like
I think it's a pimento.
Yeah,
or
I think
carrot or something.
Yeah. A piece of a cherry. I don't know what it is, but it's gross, and I don't like those. But like a nice, like big, like Italian olive that's like fresh and whole and has the pit in it, and
Kalamata.
Yeah, some of that stuff. Like I can get into that. I can appreciate it, and I can enjoy the flavor of it. And that's certainly like something that. Yeah, normally if it's like on my pizza, like I will peel that off real quick. But it's something I can like
flick it at the person across
right in my wife's mouth. Just you can have it. It's something that like I can definitely. I've noticed that my tastes on it are not as
adverse.
Yeah, to it anymore.
Interesting. I've got another one. I used to like vehemently hate beets. Like just oppose.
I think we've talked about this on other. A podcast, I guess. A podcast that we've done.
Other episodes.
But yeah.
And now, like, not that I'm like,
love me
serve me up some beets, but I don't dislike
like
them.
Beet sandwich.
Yeah, like where you just said like you used to pick an olive off of a pizza. Like if I had a salad with a beet in it or something, like I
y'all can take this one back.
yeah,
I need one that hasn't been
now
beated.
I'm like, okay, yeah, totally. Or like for whatever reason, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make borscht, which is like it's a beet soup. Made it, had it, and liked it. Or
you made it?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I wanted to like, okay.
That's too much. Like if you're averse to the thing and then you're going to like just like
and that's
highlight
why I did
it in a dish.
Yeah, that's why I did it.
Messed up.
Yeah, no, that's why I did it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna distill this thing down into its like primeval form.
Dude, it's
pure
evil.
purpley
Satan's
ready.
spit.
Right.
Gotcha.
And then I like tried it and I was like, okay, this is actually pretty good. But I think it's also like,
Nah, you got down there and you're like, okay, this is edible.
yeah,
I'm
you're
never
right.
gonna do it again.
And I haven't. You're not wrong. I made it. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna eat this because I made it and I spent money on it. But like, I don't think I'm gonna eat this again. But like the last time we went to like a Jewish deli and they had like pickled beets and stuff. I had some of it. Loved it. I was like, this is fantastic. Yeah.
So if you pickle it though.
Well, that's the other
Is it
argument.
really like? It's not the thing anymore? You don't call them pickled cucumbers.
You just call them pickles.
There's pickles. You know,
Well,
it's a different thing now.
Whoa, though. Like, I'm trying to come up with an example. Yeah, I guess if you pickle cabbage, you call it kimchi. Okay.
Once you've taken the thing and just like soaked it in vinegar for a really long time,
sure,
and removed the essence of what it naturally is.
Yeah, those aren't pig's feet; those are pickled pig's feet. Okay, that's not an egg anymore. That's pickle gold. All right, I got it.
That's something else. I don't know why you did that.
Wait, what do you mean? Those like beautiful red jars at the corner gas station?
Woo! You ever have one?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I've never
I wonder what they
never
are.
Done that? No. What do you mean? What are they like? They're
I'm just saying, like, I
eggs.
wonder what that experience is. Like, we should go to a gas station right now.
Right
See if
now,
we can find one.
dude. I know a gas station that definitely has
I know
one.
a guy.
Like you can get pickled pig's feet. You can get pickled eggs. You can definitely get some boiled peanuts.
What does that possibly taste like?
It's probably delicious.
Pickled egg. There's no chance. There's absolutely no chance.
Okay, you want to go? It's literally 2 minutes down the road. We can do it.
Maybe another time.
Yeah. Yeah, I find it really interesting, like just in the whole kind of realm of, you're right. I think as you get older, I think your tastes do change. You're drawn to different things. And I don't know if it's like legit science changing, like your whole taste bud and taste palates are changing, or is it because you're looking for something else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the vast majority of it is just the widening of a perspective.
Sure.
You can't just have this because that's going to get old and tiresome. So you need something to counteract it.
Yeah.
But getting to a point where you actually appreciate that quality, or something that was, it is kind of, again, like the obstacle is the way.
Sure.
Of like eventually the thing that you're adverse to, you can appreciate that thing because of how it's making other things better.
Yeah.
Or making you appreciate other things more, even if it is just that aspect. Although I don't really necessarily think that that's the case with this bitter thing. I don't think it's like that. Like I hate that thing, so that when I have the thing that's not bitter, I enjoy it so much more. I think it actually is an essence of like, no, I actually enjoy this quality now.
Well, I think it's also
not necessarily quinine. But
I think it's also important to reevaluate those things too.
Yeah.
Of like, if you just went through life like, nope, I hate olives, and you never had another olive, like, unless it's a scenario in which like you're definitely allergic to the thing,
right.
I think every once in a while you should have an olive. If you didn't have the olive and tried it every once in a while, then you wouldn't have recognized it. Like, actually, I do like some of these things, just in certain specific instances. Like we have a mutual friend of the pod, the podcast that we've been making for 5 years.
See, I always thought when you would say that, I thought you meant those like storage things.
I know.
Pod.
I know. He does not like pickles, but recently we had an experience where we tried a pickled flavored snack, and he was like, that's fantastic.
Oh, so you like salt and vinegar. You just don't like pickle. You don't like cucumbers.
Maybe that's what it is. But I do think it's like, again, as long as it's not an allergy, it's important to try that thing every once in a while.
Sure.
And just, okay, it solidifies like, I just do not like X.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there is some things though that you can definitively say, I will never enjoy that.
What is that thing for you?
That fruit cake brick at Publix that I suckered myself into buying one year. Awful. I'll never enjoy that. I'll never enjoy that pickle whiskey right over there.
I will never enjoy that pickle whiskey either.
No chance. What's the Chicago?
Malort.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's no chance. Is that just like quinine liquor? Is that all it is?
No,
is it just like distilled quinine?
No, it's distilled essence of AutoZone.
Right. Yeah, there's no chance.
Yeah. Okay. I'm still going to try things that I hate just to see if I hate them still.
Yeah. I mean, that's the right call. You hated smoky Scotch at one point in time.
Not wrong.
You know?
Yeah, and now I love it.
Now it's
it comprises at least half of the whiskey shelf.
Right.
Well, you got anything else?
No, I think that's got it.
We do have some more of the Islay cask rested gin, and I might pour some more up.
There you go.
Okay. Well, we'd love to know, what do you think? See, like this part, like I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the listeners. How have you not caught? This is episode 282. Well, how have you not caught? I'm just confused.
It was always like just you thought it was like an assumption to me. Like I'm just talking to some random person. Close it. We don't. It's like Captain's log. Like, you don't need to say Captain's log every time. It's your log,
but he
Captain.
does every time.
I know. And that's just what I thought it was. I thought it was just like a ritualistic thing that we were doing.
No, he's not like listening back to these.
No, what we were doing. I thought this was just like ritualistic of just like, yeah, well,
this is how we started. Like Nick just started this weird thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, speaking of ending it, we'd love to know, what do you think about the Botanist Islay cask rested gin? Have you had the Islay cask aged gin? That's the one at Brook
Nick
Lodge.
had it.
I have. Yeah, and I think it's better. I don't really recollect it though. If I'm being,
do you think it was smoky?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay, I just wonder if maybe that was what was like
maybe
influencing your assumptions.
I don't. I honestly that day's all a blur. That was like 3 days.
Big
all
day.
A blur.
Big day.
Yeah, those are all a blur. We'd also love to know.
A lot of different scotches consumed.
Correct. Yeah.
It's gin. Cool. Let me try it.
We'd also love to know, what do you think about how our tastes change over time?
Yeah. What kind of examples can you think of that have you've grown an appreciation for a thing that you at one point in time just absolutely couldn't stand?
Yeah. And what's the thing that you continually try and like every time you're like,
doesn't work.
That's not it. Well, you can get in touch with us through email. It's drepandstone@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us through social media.
It's always one word, Drep and Stone, DREP Stone. Come find us, share a thing, like a thing, see all of our things, and let us know what you think about them.
And like we said at the top of the episode, we love it if you support this little podcast of ours. Helps keep the lights on, the recording machine recording, and more importantly, the AC running, because it's already hot.
It's already summer here in Florida.
That's correct. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
May your glass overflow.
And your ass never show. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.